Hi, my name's Clint. I'm Minister of Evangelism for Park. Have you ever been really excited? I mean, really excited that you had to tell someone the news right away? I remember that moment. The moment for me is when me and my wife, I asked her to marry me. I'll never forget that Valentine's Day. It was amazing. I did it right. I put out flowers everywhere, roses. I had a steak dinner. When she walked in, she was real excited. And I told her, I don't know how we're going to make it. I don't know if we're going to make any money. I don't know if we're going to be a successful ministry, but I know this. I know that I'm going to love you with every ounce of my heart. And we've been together ever since. And that moment inside me was so exciting and so wonderful that I had to call someone immediately and tell it. And I told my mom, which she was really excited about because Kelsey was way out of my league. And to see their joy and their enthusiasm, I was just excited about it as well. It was really cool to see how God worked. And it was really, really, really neat that we got to share our excitement with other people. And that those other people were excited for us and we got to see it. And that kind of excitement, that kind of inward just, I gotta let this out, is exactly where we find God when the Israelites leave Egypt in Exodus chapter 19. You see, they just came out of Egypt. God did all these plagues and they came out and God parted the Red Sea and they walked through and the Egyptians came through and God destroyed the Egyptians and Egypt was gone and they witnessed all this. They saw this with their eyes. And in Exodus 19, after everything is done, everything is said, Moses goes up to God and God says this: "You yourselves have seen what I did to Egypt and how I carried you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. Now if you obey me fully and keep my covenant, then out of all the nations, you'll be my most treasured possession. Although the whole world is mine, you will be for me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation." These are the words you're to speak to the Israelites. And Moses went back excited about this news. And that part of verse 6 really stands out to me. A kingdom of priests and a holy nation. God says from the very beginning, even before he set up the Levite thing, he says, you are all to be a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. Israel was supposed to intercede to people and go to the world and tell them what God has done. How God brought them out of Egypt, and God can bring them out of their Egypts too. The Exodus isn't a one-time thing. It's a thing that can happen today. If we just believe God can do it and follow what he says and share that excitement with other people. And Israel, granted, didn't do that very well. They didn't do that very well for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. So this concept of evangelism isn't new. It was something we were supposed to be doing the whole time. Sadly, the Israelites didn't do it very well. They went through many years where they didn't talk to anyone about God. In fact, they preserved their little area so much that they just kind of excluded everyone out. And sometimes you hear about someone who does come in and is life changed, but it's because they wanted to be life changed, not really because the Israelites wanted to change them. And there's years, hundreds, centuries of years passed between God speaking at Exodus and Jesus speaking to a guy named Zacchaeus. And I know what you're thinking. Zacchaeus was a wee little man, and a wee little man was he. But Zacchaeus was good at a couple of things. He was good at swindling, he was good at thieving, and he was good at taking your money. And he was the chief tax collector, which meant he was better at it than anyone else. And to get the frustration of the people and everything, you got to put yourselves in their shoes. Like when they were going to the marketplace, Zacchaeus would be there and he would take out, if you were going to spend $100, he would take out $10. Now you're spending only $90 at the marketplace. And he would do that for everything you did. Vacations, for rent, he would take his cut out of everything. Zacchaeus was a guy that seemed like he had it all. Then he met a guy named Jesus. Jesus looks at Zacchaeus and he says, Zacchaeus, I'm going to go sit and eat at your house today. I'm coming to your house. And the crowd's shocked. I get why they're shocked. I understand it. It makes sense to me. I mean, Zacchaeus has everything. He has money, he has power, he has the nice house, he has the Tesla of donkeys. He has everything. And yet he has one more thing, because he gets to have lunch with Jesus. And I can imagine their disdain and their anger in that. I get it. But something happened at that lunch or that dinner. Something happened over that meal to where Zacchaeus' life changed. I don't know what he said. What I do know is what Zacchaeus did. He paid back 4 times the amount. And if he's wronged any, and he gave half his possessions to the poor. So he paid back 4 times the amount to people that wronged him, and he gave half his possessions away. That's life-changing right there. It's big. And when Jesus sees that, he says something that he doesn't say anywhere else. He says in Luke 19:9 that he says, "Today salvation has come to this house, because this man too is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost." And Jesus, if that's his mission, I've had people come up to me and we've had conversations like, what is my purpose in life? What is God wanting me to do in my life? Well, Jesus says right here that the Son of Man came to seek and save the lost. And if that's his mission, and it says that we are becoming like him, we are being transformed into his image, don't you think that's our mission too? In Mark 16, verse 15, he says this. Jesus says, "Go to all the world and preach the gospel to all creation." That doesn't sound like it's optional. It's a command. We're commanded to do that. We're commanded to go into the world and to preach and to share the gospel with people. And we share it with our lives with each other. We share it by being open. We share it by talking to people and being genuine and honest as they walk through our doors. In 1 Samuel chapter 14, verse 6, Jonathan and Saul are pinned up against the Philistines. And Jonathan says, "I just can't sit here and let the people take me over." He actually says in 1 Samuel 14, verse 6, he says to his armor bearer, "Come, let us go to the outpost to those uncircumcised men. Perhaps the Lord will act on our behalf. Nothing can hinder the Lord from saving, whether by many or by few." Jonathan isn't going to not act in faith, because he acted in his faith and got over his fear, which it's scary to be outnumbered. It is. Because Jonathan acted out in his faith brought a victory for Israel. And when we act out on our faith, that'll bring victories for others. Because Jesus is the one who did it. Jesus is the one who is living and active and is breathing. We can't let fear drive us, because there's a world out there that needs to know this hope. They need to know what God has done in your life. They need to see what God has done in your life. You need to tell them what God has done in your life. Because if we want to be, make, and mature, we have to act. We can't let fear drive that. We can't let it go. So 4 things we can take away from the heart of evangelism. First is, we are to remember where we came from. The second thing is, Jesus came to seek and save the lost. And we are to carry out purpose and mission, which is the third thing. And the fourth thing after that is, we are not to be afraid, because God is with us. I love you, and I'm excited to see how God is going to move us. See you guys later.